everyone. The topic which I am going to cover, it is introduction to the Linux command line. Basically here I am going to discuss the CLI interface for the Linux. We are aware that Linux we can work both on GUI and the CLI mode. GUI mode, it is very much similar to your Windows, but when you go for the CLI mode, then here you need to operate the system with the help of the commands. So let's start with the Linux command interface. We are aware what is an operating system. We have already seen what is an operating system in the unit 2. So if we talk about the operating system, we are aware it is sitting between the hardware and the user, and user is interacting with the operating system with certain utilities programs, with certain system programs, and with certain application programs. So if we say operating system, it is nothing, it is your system program, which is since it is sitting it is interacting with the user, it is interacting with the hardware. So if we look from the hardware point of view, then what we expect from the operating system, it should be a good resource manager, it should be a good resource allocator, efficient resource allocation rather you can say. Whereas when you look from the user perspective, then what are the requirements from the operating system? That user should operate very conveniently with the system. Whatever the user wants to do, he should be able to operate on the system. So what are the basic services of the OS? We have already seen them in unit 2. So we are having the services related to process management, interrupt handling, memory management, file system, device drivers, networking, security, protection, input-output management. So operating system is overall responsible for managing your system. So here when we talk about the CLI, so in the CLI interface we are having the commands related to all these particular services. So Linux, it is an OS. We have discussed this concept. So what is Linux? It is a Unix clone and it has been written from scratch. Although we are saying it is a Unix clone, but it is written from the scratch by the scientist Linus Torvalds with the assistance from a loosely knit team of hackers across the net. So Linux, basically it has been developed as a small project, and Linus along with other team members who are active on the internet, they come together, they form a community and they develop the Linux. So what is a Unix? It is a multitasking, multi-user OS, and it has been developed in 1969 by AT&T employees at Bell Laboratory. So what is the meaning of multitasking? That it is executing multiple programs simultaneously and also interacting with the user. And multi-user, that is many users, they are interacting with the same system. So basically Linux, it is a clone. So it is also doing multitasking and multi-user operation. So both they are strive to the POSIX compliant. So what is POSIX compliant? Basically it is a standard which has been written for the which contains the standards corresponding to your commands, your Unix and Linux based commands. So 64% of the world servers, they are running on the Unix, Linux or its variant, and the Android phone and the Kindle, they run the Linux. So most of the you could say more than 50% of the world systems, they are on this particular operating system. So there is a requirement to study the CLI interface of this operating system. These are the various distributions or the flavors of the Linux available in the market, since multiple communities they have come together to develop the Linux operating system. So we are having multiple you could say vendors, and we are having multiple flavors of the Linux which is being developed by these vendors. The most common one are your Red Hat Linux, it is your Ubuntu Linux, and so on. So what is the basic difference between Unix and Linux? Unix initially it was developed in late 1960s, but Linux it has been developed in early 1990s. So it comes you could say after 30 years of the development of the Unix. Linux, it is a Unix clone, it is a OS kernel, and these terms are often interchangeably in the market. So this is the Unix architecture. If we look at this architecture, we are having the your hardware, and here the OS, it comprises of two parts. One is kernel and another one is your shell. So what is a kernel? We have already seen this in Unit 2. It is the heart of the operating system, or you could say it contains all the functionalities other than your command line interface. It is solely responsible for interacting with the hardware. It does all the services which we have seen earlier, that is your memory management, task scheduling, file management, your storage management. Each and every service is being handled by the kernel. So now the question comes, then what is the function of the shell? So shell is nothing, it is a utility program, and it is, you could say, it is a command interpreter. Basically it interprets the command and calls the program that you want. So we are having multiple commands, the shell is handling multiple commands here. So all these commands, they corresponds to certain functionality. Your shell, first it verify whether that command is valid or not. If it is valid, then it gives the command to the kernel to execute. Kernel does the execution on the behalf of the shell. It gives the output to the shell, and in return shell produce the output to the user. So what are the commands and utilities? We are having various commands which are being interpreted by the shell. That is each and every functionality which you are doing on the GUI. Now we are doing the same operation, but for them we are having specific set of commands. Here, what is file and the directory? All data in Unix is organized into files. Now this is the you could say fundamental approach of the Unix system, that in Unix each and every resource is considered as a file. And since you can organize the files, you can work freely on the files, so you also got the freedom to work on those device files or on those resources which are which have been designated as files by the Unix. You can work them in a very normal way. So all the files basically they are organized into the directories. So similar to your Windows, you work on directories, subdirectories and files, and the similar concept has been adopted in the Unix, or you could say in the Unix we follow the tree kind of structure. There is a hierarchy among the directories and the subdirectories in your Unix file system. So these directories, they are organized into a tree-like structure, and this is my Unix file system. So in the Linux, every file, every unit is a file, and we are having 4 kinds of files in Linux. The very first one is your ordinary file, and this ordinary file, it contains data or it contains the info. We are having the directories. These directories, they hold files and other directories. So what is a directory? It is a special file which contains the information regarding the files and other directories which you have created in that particular directory. What are the devices? That is, we are having other file, category of file, that is my device for accessing the hardwares which have been associated or which are present in my system. Here we are having another new concept, that is a links, that is pointer to another file, and these links, they could be described as hard link or the soft link. So in the case of the Linux typical directory structure, if I say, then Linux file system is laid out in hierarchical tree structure. Top level directory is called the root directory. That is, this is my root directory. Under this root directory, I am having multiple subdirectories. These directories, they are having their own hierarchy, or they are having their own levels. In this way, the hierarchy, that is tree structure, grows in a file system. So such kind of architecture is being deployed in Unix file or Linux file system. So if we look at the figure, we are having the root directory, we are having, these are the basic, you could say, directories which are present in the root. I am having the bin directory. This bin directory, it contains the user binaries. Then I am having sbin, it contains the system binary files. I am having the another directory, that is etc. It contains my configuration files that is related to my system configuration. dev, it contains the device files. Then I am having proc, it contains the process information. Then I am having var, which is your variable files, which is for your variable files. I am having the directory corresponding to temporary files. usr, basically your user programs. You use these directories, your home directory, that is whenever you log in, you are being placed in this directory. Then boot, it contains the bootloader files. System libraries, it has been placed in lib. Then I am having the optimal optional application directories, mount directories, removable devices, that is my, it could be removable, any kind of removable tertiary devices. Then I am having the service data directory. So this is a basic, you could say, directory structure, and it will grow later on. For example, if you have been placed in the home directory, then you can create your own files. Like this directory structure grows. Now, when we work on the files, we should be aware of what is the meaning of path and what is absolute and relative path. So if I say path, it is nothing, it is the location of my file. That is basically where that file or directory is being located on my hard drive. So I am having two paths, two naming convention for path in Linux. One is my absolute path name and another one is my relative path name. So what is absolute path name? It begins with a forward slash, that is starting with the root directory. That is when you are giving the path name, then you are always starting with the initial directory, that is my root directory. It is the complete roadmap to the file location. That is how you will reach to that particular directory. Can be used anytime you wish to specify a file name. Whereas what is relative path name? It is do not begin with a slash. It is specify a location relative to your current working directory. That is where you are currently being working. Can be used as a shorter way to specify a file name. For example, this is my hierarchy. For example, this is user 1, this is user 2, user 1, A, B, and it is having, for example, c.txt, and here I am having D, and here I am having for example e.txt, and this is another user, it may be F1 and it may be F2. Suppose you are here working in A directory. Now what will happen when you are working on the A directory and you want to specify the path name of e.txt, then in the case of the absolute path name, how you will give? First you will start with the root directory, then you will go to user 1, then you will go to B, then you will go to D, and from here you will go to e.txt. This is how you will go here if you want to specify this path name. Now you are here. If I talk about the relative path name, so how I will reach to this? First I will move to here, then from here, from here, from here. So how I will move to user 1, since this is my parent directory. So here, how I will give the path, that is parent directory, then I will give B, then I will give D, then I will give e.txt. This is how I will decide the relative path name. Suppose I am present here in the case of the B. So what is the absolute path name? It is same. But how you will give the e.txt path name? If you are present in directory B, you will specify it as D, then e.txt. This is how you will specify the relative path name. Now let's begin with the Linux commands. This is the anatomy of the Linux command. This is my prompt, and this prompt is for my bash shell. I am having various flavors of shells and bash is one of them. Other variants, you could have C shell, you could have the corn shell. So this is the prompt for my bash shell. ls, this is my command name. So what is the anatomy? First you will give the command name, then you will give flags or options, these are also, and then this is my file name or my directory name. So this is my command, this is the list of my flags or options, and this is my file name or my directory name. Now how you will give the flags? You will give the flags preceded by symbol hyphen. So here I have given 3 options or 3 flags to my ls, that is lrs, and the tmp. This is my directory which I want to work upon. What is the function of ls? We will see later on, but for a time being, it is this command is being used for listing the files which are present in a particular directory. Now the question comes, what are the options? Since what the ls does, the basic behavior, or you could say the default behavior of the ls command is to list the files in a particular directory. This is its basic behavior. But if you want to you want to have more you could say advanced output, then in that case you want to change the default behavior, you want that ls should work some different actions, or it should take some different actions, then you will use the flags which is being decided, or you could say which is which are the part of my syntax of my ls command. So I am having 3 options, L, R, S. We will see later on what all these options specify. So these are certain commands. I am having cd for a timing, it is for changing the directory, ls for listing the files, and pwd, it is for showing the present working directory. We will these are the various ways how you will get. This is root directory, that is I am moving towards the root directory, I am moving to this particular folder, or this we will see later on. These, what is the meaning of these symbols? These are my related to wild characters, which we will discuss later on. So what are the shortcuts which you can have on a Linux CLI interface? You can use the up down keys to scroll through the command history. You could have the auto completion, that is for the auto completion you can use the tab button. For when specifying the file names, ... it refers to the parent directory, and what the tilde, it refers to the home directory. So whenever you are not aware that what's the name of your parent directory, you always use ... and if you want to go to your home directory, or you will use this symbol. And what is the star? It refers to any file names. It is a wild character which we will see later on. So let's start with few basic commands of the Linux. The very first which I am going to discuss is the pwd. What it does, it prints the current working directory. That is, I write always remember that Linux, it is a case sensitive. Okay, so you always gives pwd in small. Such kind of things are not permissible in Linux. So pwd, if you give the write pwd and then press enter, it will show in your present working directory. ls for listing the files and directories in the current directory. So if you write ls, it will show all the files, directories which are present in my current directory. cd, it is for changing the current directory. How you will use cd and then the name of the directory. Now this you could give relative, or relative path, or you can use the absolute path. It depends what kind of, where you want to move. So let's suppose you move the currently your present working directory is this, and then you have initiated this command. After writing pwd, you can see now your present working directory is this. Touch, whenever you want to create an empty file, you use the touch command. Touch with the name, with the help of a file name, and when you give the ls, now you see, now you are present in this. So when you give the ls, there is nothing been created. No file or directory has been created so far in documents. So the very first file which you have created, it will shown here. You can create multiple files together. For example, just write touch command f1.txt, then f2.txt, f3. Let's suppose xls you want to create, and then hit enter. So when you give the ls command, all the 3 files would be shown here. mkdir, it is for creating a new directory. Whenever you want to create a new directory, you will use this command. How you will use this command? mkdir and then the name of the directory. You can create multiple directories with the help of mkdir command, just like we have seen in the touch command. So when I write ls, now you can see the name of directory which I have created with the help of the mkdir is now being shown here. rm, basically it removes files or directory. So how you will use the rm? Because with the help of this command, you are doing both operation. You are removing a file and you are removing a directory also. So whenever you want to remove a file, you just use the rm command and then the name of the file. Now if you give the ls command, only the directory is being shown here. But if I want to remove a directory, then it is a mandate that I will use this particular flag. So when I run this command, nothing should be shown here, because earlier I have removed this file and after this I have removed this directory also. cp command, it copies files or directory. That is, if you want to create a file or a directory, then how you will use this? Copy, then the name of the file which you want to copy, and then the new file name. So here automatically a new file name would be created, and when you give the ls command, you will get 2 files being created in that particular directory, and these 2 files, they contain the same content because you have created the copy of file 1 with a name backup. mv command, basically it moves or renames the files or the directories. So how you will use the mv command? For renaming a file, because with the same command you are doing both the operation. You are renaming the file as well as you are moving a file to a new location. So how you will use the renaming a file? You just give the mv, name of the file, and then this is my new file name. So when you give the ls, now my file name changed to renamed file. How you will move? You will give the file name, and after this you need to give the name of the directory. Now your file will be moved to this particular directory. Now if I want to display the contents of a file, then I will use the command cat. So basically if you give the cat command, file name, then it will show the contents of this file. You can show the contents of multiple files also. If I give here file 2.txt, then after the contents of file 1, it will show the contents of file 2. Echo command, echo basically it is used in two ways. First, for printing something to your terminal, directly something on your terminal, or to write something in your file. How you will use the echo? If it prints a string to the terminal or write to a file, if I want to print to a terminal, you just on the command prompt give echo and then the string in double quotes. And here the output. If you want to write to a file, same thing, but here you will use a redirection operator. Now this symbol, what it says, it will redirect. Now this is the output. It is being produced by this command. Okay. If you are not giving this part, then the output is being shown on your display screen. But if you use this redirection operator, then whatever command you have given here, it output will be redirected to a file where you want to store the output. So this is how you can write a content to a file, but the functionality of the echo is minimal. You can write few sentences with the help of search approach in a file. We are having various other approaches, VI editor and all these things, with the help of which we could write the contents on a file. So here what I have done, I have written the output of this, or you could say I have stored the output of this command in this file, and when I use the cat command, this is the output I am getting. Who am I? It will show the current logged in user. For example, if I say you am I, then who am I? Then it will show the the users who are currently logged in. PS command basically displays the currently running processes. For example, I want to see what processes are running on my system. Then I will use the command PS command. Now, when I use the PS command, basically it stands for process status. So it will show the status of my process. The very first entry is the PID, that is process identification number. This is TTY, that is on which particular terminal these processes are being run on. So currently I have been logged in as a user. So this is my terminal. This is the time, at what time this process has been created, and this is the command with the help of this. That is the name of a process, your bash and PS process. If I want to download the files from the internet, I am having a command wgt. Now wgt, you just give the name of the URL, and this URL, whatever the contents of this URL, it is being saved to the file, that is file.txt. That is the same file name which you are being downloading from the internet. If I want to see what are the various commands present in my bash and what are the various flags or options which are being supported by particular command, for this I am having two commands. One is man and another one is my help command. And both these commands, they help me know more about command and how to use this. So if I write man command, it will show the manual pages of the command. For example, if I give man cd, it will show the manual pages of the cd command. And same I can have with the help of help command. If I give the help cd, it will show me the or give me information or all information related to cd command. So these are the few basic Linux commands which I have discussed in this particular video lecture. These are the references which you can refer for further study. Thank you and Jai Hind.